Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to Zombicide Invaders Black Ops. This is an expansion set. So you can check out other videos we have done for the Zombicide Invaders, which you go over the rules on, kind of how the game will play, as well as going through all the figures and all that. We've also went through the standalone base game, Dark Side. This, although it does specify Invaders, it's part of the Invaders series. You can play this with either one. Now, the missions that come in the book are designed to kind of really interact with the Invader because they use the spore mechanic from the Invader, or the mold. Sorry, the mold, like the mold and spore mechanics from the Invader base game. But if you include them in with Dark Side, that's fine. They just won't. You just won't be able to use any of the mold aspect to it. Now, I don't believe any of them. Yeah, you just might not be able to do every single one of them. Just as a quick example here, so like we have like mission number 2 here. Would probably be just fine, because it's just using some of the different tiles. Although you might not be able to do the missions, because it might need, like, tiles from the base Invaders game. Like this one here, specifically, yeah, tile 5 and 6 would be in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, all but 20 there would all be from the base game, Invaders. Plus it has the moles. So you might not be able to do the missions with Dark Side. But you can at least play with all the new content. Alright, so what else is in this expansion? So this does come with some extra fun stuff. It does have 6 brand new, boards. So again, if you bought in either of the base games, you already had 6 boards. This would get you an extra 6. So that you can play that full 12 players if you would like. If you'd like to expand to an additional 6 players. Now, if you only have 3 sets, then you're just going to have more. The other fun thing is it gives us more colors. So we get 6 new bases and 6 new sets of pegs. Which honestly is one of my favorite things. Because now between all 3 different sets, Invader, Darksider, and Black Ops, you have 18 different colors to choose from. So everyone can pick their own whatever color they like, so they have a lot more options. Doesn't mean a whole lot. I just like it's kind of neat. So yeah, if I'm playing even just a 6-player game, I have a lot more different options for varying colors, which I think is really fun. Alright, then we are going to get a new set of tokens, which will have some more spawn tiles. Plus, you have some new colors as well. So each set, the Darksider and Invaders, each had their own different colors. This adds 2 more, so again, if you mix all these in with a full game, make your own thing up, you're going to have even more. Also gives us the new colored doors, bunch more noise tokens, and 2 more activation tokens for robots, or machines. And then on the back side, of course, all red, and we have our broken doors. And then we have our map tiles, so let's take a look at that. So, the map tiles are going to be really cool. So, they're going to have the exterior for the planet that you can go to. Then, inside, they have these special zones here. These are pod zones. And how those work are, they're treated as active mold as long as they're on the board. And if you destroy them, then they go into inactive mold. You put an inactive token on top of it. So, basically, it means the board's going to have consistent mold already started. So you have to be very careful, because if you link these together, if the abomination gets over there and links these, they're going to, destroy everything. So you have to be careful. You're going to lose the game. But they do have an additional feature in there. You can opt to target one of these zones for your attack. You can, instead of shooting whatever Xenos in there, you can opt to target the pods. Then, as long as you hit for 2 damage, it turns it into Hellfire, which destroys everything in the zone and turns it into inactive. And then, for some reason, if the Spore Abomination ever gets back over to it and reactivates it, you just remove it, and now it's a pod again, which you can blow up a second time. So that's actually kind of a neat effect. They're basically like little built-in bombs into the area. Then if we flip to the back side here, this one has 3 of them, plus a red security zone. And then we'll have some more outside areas to go to. Our next tile, you have another outside area, some more spore zones. Let me flip that one over. We're going to get a bunch more of these mold tiles. Now, although they're considered to be active mold, they might not directly link for the losing of the game. I'm not for sure. I don't think it said that. But then now here we have a special extra big security zone. This thing is one of the few times you've seen a double room. Don't usually have them too often, but I do like those. Then we have a third tile, and that's all we'll get. Again, we have another big room, which are really fun. So there's no doorway in between them. They have another one up top. And then we flip this one over, and we have some more different zones like that. A lot more of them spore zones. So we're going to quickly flip the book open to these pod zones. I was going to hold up the instructions just for you to read. So yeah. Pod zones are active mold zones and should be treated as such unless otherwise specified. For all standard mold rules, such as no doors leading to them can be closed. I also, here's a note here. It says, pods are not affected by friendly fire rules, so they cannot be detonated by accident. They're not survivors. So if you're shooting at the Xenos and you miss, you can't apply the damage there. Or even if you have extra damage, you can't apply it to it. You actually have to target it. Which makes it very interesting to do. But yeah, this is kind of like I said here. So the idea of this is supposed to be 3 tiles featuring standard rooms along with pod zones and security rooms. The ideal to create missions featuring deep infiltration into Xeno territory, corrupted bases, or horror-inspired games. The idea is just actually sending a group of survivors into a zone that's already been infected versus one that maybe is newly infected. And they have some interesting new mechanics in here as well. They have the restricted areas. Yeah, so then you have some different areas you can't go into. Or do stuff with, such as objects grant 5 XP and prototype weapons. Yeah, just see if it's specified more in there. But yeah, as we flipped through some of these other ones, got a bunch of different stuff grouped together. And then notice this one here also had some red ones. It says prototype weapon cards are listed in there, and then you also have some explosive cassette. So some different stuff in there, which is kind of fun. Alright, let's look at the new survivors. I grab my little stand here. And oh, I was wrong. I didn't see that they had... We do actually have spore tokens in there. So that's actually cool. So that way you can play this. It just gives you probably some extra couple. Still doesn't mean you can play it with the Invader, because you could. But they won't spread if you don't have that Xeno. But at least that gives you an option. Alright. So our brand new survivors... Alright, our new set of survivors are, much like the Dark Side set, are a specialized team for Black Ops. These are called the Black Squad. So they have the Green Squad, here's the Black Squad. So they are going to be noted with the little skull symbol there to show that they're part of a team. Now they can again be mixed and matched with any other characters. But that's just showing that, yeah, they're all part of that cohesive team. So they might work a little bit better together. And they're also all soldiers. So again, there's no civilians in this set. So trying to search stuff is going to be a lot more difficult since you can only access security rooms. Alright, so we're going to go through. They do have some special setup for equipment, and we'll look at that when we're done going through these guys, through all their abilities. But here we have Maria. So she starts with combat reflexes, which says whenever a Xenos spawns within the line of sight of the survivor, may immediately perform a free combat action against them. This action may eliminate more Xenos than have spawned. Ranged actions must still be aimed at the zone where Xenos have spawned. And once per every card drawn. So yeah, that's actually a really fun one to start out with. As long as they can see a zone, melee or range, they can go ahead and do an extra attack there for free. Try and take them out before they have a chance to do anything. Like all yellow is one action. In orange, we have +1 free melee action and enhanced senses. Melee actions are always nice. Dicks are up and close. Enhanced senses will say can trace line of sight further into room zones. Also ignore dark zones, which are featured in the dark side set. So there's no dark zones in this set, so that part doesn't help. But be able to see further into a zone, into a room help, because that way you can clear out rooms a little bit easier. And then in red, she has 1 free ranged action, +1 die roll for her melee, or +1 die roll for her ranged. So yeah, she kind of starts off like, hey, she's ready to pounce and get in there. And then you can kind of decide from there if you want her to be a melee or a ranged character. She's kind of leaning towards the melee, at least to begin with. But yeah, she can go either way. So here's her miniature. Strutting around it. She has like a trench coat cape type thing. That's just pretty cool. Alright, let's hop into our next survivor. We're going to look at Kyle. So this guy has a giant gun. Also has a mohawk on. Yeah, they have these like cape trench coats, which are kind of neat. Neat design there. Also notice that none of these guys have helmets on. They're not worried about protecting their heads. Because lots of them also have very shaved heads or small tufts of hair. It's a very interesting design as well. So he starts with the enhanced senses, which we just went over. Which would be very helpful if he's doing ranged attacks. In orange, he has +1 die roll for range or remote control sentry gun. So you can use that sentry gun from anywhere on the board and use its abilities. 1 free ranged action. Then he has Ironclad Worker and Tough. So Tough lets him ignore the first damage. And go the first damage they reserve during the attack step Xeno phase. And during friendly fire as well. So that's very helpful there. Just keep in mind, but Ironclad Worker can be very helpful too. So Ironclad is, they cannot be hurt by that specific type. I'm going to find the exact wording here. Survivor ignores all damage from incoming Xenos, the indicated name. So any worker, whether it's a regular worker or a driller worker, or any other type, he does not take damage from. So Tough will help protect them no matter what against 1 point every time, but Ironclad will protect him constantly. So if Ironclad could work really well with someone like him with a ranged attack, because he could just sit there and focus on taking out tanks and abominations and hunters, and then just let the workers come towards him. They get next to him, they can stand next to him all he wants, and then he can take them out at his leisure. So that's definitely a neat ability there. Now, this does have a remote control sentry gun. We get a brand new sentry gun and bot in this set as well. So that's cool. We'll take a look at them right after the survivors. Alright, so our third one we're going to hop into is Angry. So Angry starts with Taunt. Taunt is a fun ability, which I always say. Survivor can use this skill for free once during each of their turns. Select a zone up to 2 zones away from a survivor, having a clear path to the survivor. No walls or closed doors, but no line of sight is needed. So it's kind of saying he can taunt like around a corner. He doesn't have to see them, but there has to be a pathway to get to them. Like he can't taunt through a wall. All Xenos standing in the selected zone immediately gain extra activation. They try to reach the taunting survivor by any means available. Taunted Xenos ignore all other survivors, do not attack them, and leave their zones they're standing in. So taunt is really helpful for drawing fire. So if you're trying to like, hey, there's Xenos in our way, we need to get to this door, or we need to get someone out, or that guy's low on health, you can use taunt to pull guys towards you. It can also be very helpful for maybe splitting up some of the groups. If you have a bunch of them all kind of clustering together, you could pull one like down a hallway a different direction. But remember, it pulls everything in the zone, so it's not like you're just taunting the workers or just taunting the hunters. But yeah, it's definitely a fun ability. You can even combine that with like Kyle, like have him taunt, pull someone towards him, and Kyle can get a better shot range on him, stuff like that as well. So in his orange, he has 1 free melee action, and Shove. Shove says, survivor can use the skill for free once during each of their turns. Select a zone at range 1 from your survivor. Both zones need to share a clear path, but no line of sight is needed. All Xenos standing in your survivor zone are pushed to the selected zone. This is not a movement. This lets you push guys away. So again, like you can taunt them. If they get too close to you, you can just shove them back away as well, and get them out of your hair. Then he has +1 die for combat, so an extra die for any of his combat actions. Hit and run and remote control all, so he can control bots or sentries, which that works very well with the taunt. He'll bring guys into a path of the bot or maybe a sentry gun and then activate them without having to be next to them. And then hit and run says survivor may use a skill for free just after they resolve a melee or ranged action, resulting in at least 1 Xeno being eliminated. They can resolve a free movement action. Survivor does not spend extra actions to perform this free move if Xenos are standing in their zone. So this is basically, if he defeats someone, at least 1 Xeno, he can then move again. So either he can run in there, do a bunch of damage, defeat them, then back out and start prepping up for the next turn, so you're at least a space away from them, or then gets them closer to leaving. Or if you've eliminated the last one, you could then start heading towards closer to the next one you want to attack. And again, this could be useful with taunt as well. Taunt them, they get next to you. All you have to do is eliminate one, back up, then you can shove, push them even any other ones farther if they move into a zone with other characters. Yes, you can do some very interesting stuff with this guy. Alright, let's zoom up and look at his miniature a little bit more. Now, I wonder if he's supposed to be maybe the leader of the team. He has a little bit more badges and pageantry. That's something that I almost love about the Zombicide. It's like, as the Kickstarters are going on, when they reveal new characters, usually have like background stories. I almost like a little booklet in each set would be kind of cool, but even if it was a separate book you could buy after the campaign, or like a separate thing like outside of the game, because not gameplay element, just like the story of all the different survivors, because some of them are very interesting. Whether it's this game or regular or fantasy, just like, yeah, what are they doing? Like, why are they here? And I know they started doing the comic books for some of the stories, which are very interesting. I haven't read any of them, unfortunately. But yeah, they're kind of neat in that sense as well. They have some different, follow some of the different stories of the characters. Alright, up next we have Fiona, who has 0G Run. So the survivor can use the skill once during each of their turns. Spends 1 action to move 2 zones. Ignore everything in the intervening zones except airlocks, walls, and closed doors. So you can't move through those. Movement-related skills are ignored, but movement penalties like having multiple Xenos in your starting area apply. What this basically lets her do is, instead of just moving one space, she can move forward 2 spaces. But if in between those 2 spaces is a bunch of Xenos, she can basically just hop over them or run around them. And she doesn't have to worry about stopping in that spot and then paying the extra movement skills. So it just lets her get through Xenos a little bit quicker. Great for, oh crap, we need to get into this room to activate this thing. You can run through, spend 2 movement to get that a little bit farther. Get into a zone, and then you can just get back out really quick. Yeah, definitely a fun, quick ability. Not always my favorite for a starting ability, but it does, if nothing else, lets you get extra movement space, so you can get around the board a lot quicker. Especially in this with the, just trying to get places. So we have orange, we have 1 free range action or remote control bot. And then her red, +1 die for ranged attacks, 1 free movement, and lucky. Lucky will let you reroll any of your dice once per action. So that way, if you are trying to attack and you roll really bad, you can always attempt to reroll a second time, or using your bot's attacks even. But yeah, you can kind of see she has ranged and moves, so they kind of want her to be just moving around position to do kind of like sniping attacks and stuff like that. That's sort of her goal. Yes, definitely a fun character, different role for the game. Ooh, we gotta look at her miniature yet. Got just a gun on there. Got that cape. Alright. Up next we have Jean. Jean? Could be Jean maybe, it's French. Oh, this guy's goggles on. I am noticing every single person in this has, if they're using a single weapon, is using their right hand for the gun. I don't know if that was just their pose design, or if there's just more people fire guns with their right hand, probably. I'm left-handed, so for me that's different. It's kind of his back cape has a bunch of notches in it, so I like that each cape is a little bit different. Like his has a bunch, some of them only have 1. So it's kind of a little neat. They're all a little bit different. His has like the open parts in there as well. Like his kind of goes almost all the way around, more like a full jacket. Some of them you can't see because of their armor. But yeah, makes them all a little bit different. And then again, that slight shaved head. Alright, so he has boring leader. So he's probably the leader of the team since he has boring leader. That makes more sense. It says, during the survivor's turn, the survivor may give 1 free action to another survivor to use as they please. This action is used immediately, then the born survivor resumes their turn. So he can hand out extra actions. So this could let somebody else do a free move action, extra attack action, rescue someone, do an objective, activate a bot. A lot of different possibilities in there, and the fact that he starts with it is really super helpful. So yeah, they can definitely do some interesting stuff right off the bat with that. And then since it has to be done during that turn, you can set up some interesting combos, because you could use that to like, hey, he's in the same zone as somebody else, you could tell them to take an extra melee action. They might eliminate everything else in that zone, so then he can move. Or he could have somebody else open a door so that then he can move through it. So you can do some good combinations like that as well. In orange, we have 1 free move action and remote control sentry gun. And then in red, we have 1 free combat action, +1 die roll for combat, and charge. Charge says survivor can use this skill once during each of their turns for free. They move up to 2 zones containing at least 1 Xeno. Normal movement. Skill apply. Entering a zone containing Xeno still ends your movement. So this gives him basically a way to get closer to enemies a lot quicker. He does get to move 2 spaces, but he has to move into a spot with Xenos. But it's also a free action. So yeah, he potentially starts with 3, gets his yellow 4th one. He could get his orange 1 free move action, so you have 5. So he could potentially move up to 7 spaces in a turn if you really wanted him to. Because he could use his regular actions, his move action, and then charge that extra 2 spaces into a spot with a Xeno. Why you would want to move into a spot with a Xeno last would be pretty bad. But you can also use it first, charge, use somebody else's, charge into a zone with somebody else, use Born Leader, have them finish taking out the Xenos, then keep moving. Various different options there, but really fun, different character. It'd be interesting, see how all these guys work together is, of course, the whole goal of it. Then our final survivor is Solomon, who just looks pissed off. So Solomon starts off with +1 die for melee. So we did have the Kyle with the giant gun, who's our ranged character, and here's our melee character. So yeah, extra damage, so his melee is a lot more powerful. Starts with Bloodlust, Melee, and Medic. Bloodlust is... Survivor can use this skill once during each of their turns. Survivor spends 1 action, they move up to 2 zones to a zone containing at least 1 Xeno, and they get 1 free action of a specified type. So much like Charge, just let you move forward, but you can do it for free. This one you have to spend an action to do it, but you get a free attack out of it. So he's going to be able to essentially charge in and attack at the same turn. Medic, which surprisingly has not been used yet in any of the other sets, or any of the other boxes. This skill is used for free during the end phase. Survivors and all other survivors standing in this zone may restore 1 armor up to their base level. So, although yeah, he wants to get in melee, he can always at least at the end of his turn, no matter what, heal 1 of his health. But if he's standing with everybody else, he can heal everybody else as well. And then he has, in red, 1 free combat action, +1 die roll for melee, and point blank. So this kind of makes him a very interesting Swiss Army knife of a character. There's a free combat action, let him do ranged or melee, but he also has the die roll for extra melee, but point blank is what makes him really fun as well. Because he's already doing melee, and this will help him out with that. So Survivor may perform ranged actions in their own zone, no matter the minimum range. When resolving a ranged action at 0 range, Survivor freely chooses your targets and can eliminate any Xeno. And the ranged attacks still need to inflict enough damage to eliminate targets. Friendly fire is ignored. So basically you treat his ranged attacks as melee attacks, for all intents and purposes. So it's kind of cool. He can get up, do all this melee, but now if you give him a good gun, he can use that up close as well. And then he has it ready in case he needs to back off. Definitely interesting. Alright, and then let's see if we can get this to focus up on his miniature. Yep, so he's got that here. He's got a giant chainsaw arm as well. Like not arm, but like it's a weapon. He's got probably some sort of battery pack or sentry thing up on top. So, alright. That was our different survivors. So we're going to head in and look at the equipment and the sentry bots. And the sentry bot and the sentry gun and the bot. Alright, so the Black Ops team gets to all start off with a shock glove. So unlike the Invaders, where you had 6 equipment, you had to spread them amongst each team. So some people got melee, some people got a ranged weapon. The special teams, like black team here and green team from Dark Side, both get to start with a melee and a ranged weapon. So again, everyone starts with a shock glove, which has 0 range, 1 die, 4 accuracy, and does 2 damage. So not a lot of chance to hit, but 4 is actually pretty decent for 2 damage. Is very good, and it's an energy weapon. They also get a Blackbird SMG, so a little upgraded SMG versus the base game. Does only 1 range, but has 3 guys, 5, and does 1 damage. The base weapons are not the best, but definitely neat that they get 1 of each. The difference between their team and the Dark Side team is the Dark Side team also came with 2 search drones. So at least 2 of your 6 characters had the option of being able to search anywhere. These guys don't get that. So these guys can only search security zones. So if you're just using this team, they're going to be a lot harder to find stuff unless you can find some of them security drones. We're also going to get 6 more oxygen tanks. So that way you have enough for all 12 characters. They equip in a body swap. Your survivor may go into exterior zones. That's just, they threw them in there so that everyone had an option to use the thingamabobbers. My brain, oxygen tanks. Alright, then we're going to look at our bots. So we have the XN35 Crawley bot. So this is the one that gets to move around. It's got the crab legs in there. Some big, bunch of guns all over the place. It's just like this drill tail, which is kind of cool. Yeah, definitely a neat looking bot. So he has, of course, bot prototype and low profile. Low profile means they don't take damage. Survivor can't get hit by friendly fire. Hellfire still applies, so ignore them when shooting the zone they stand in. So you can shoot into a zone with a bot, you won't hit them. Its attack does 1 to 3 range, 4 dice for 4 accuracy, does 2 damage, so it's pretty decent. If we flip them over, when you're controlling them, whether you're with them and controlling them, or using the remote control ability, you can either move them or do the ranged action. They ignore dark zone rules and can fire from exterior zones. So they're very helpful for maybe crossing between areas. Note, Crawley may freely move alongside the controller survivor if they don't use movement skills. So definitely cool there. Then our other one we're going to get is the Meteor Sentry Gun. So you get our purple sentry gun here, which looks really cool, kind of like grounded very well. Nothing out of the ordinary there. But again, sentry gun, prototype, low profile, 1 to 3, and has special attack types. So let's see what that special does. Ranged action. No line of sight required. May shoot through interior walls. Automatically eliminate 1 target in each zone in a straight line from 1 range to the targeted zone. Targeting priority rules apply. Ignore dark zones and interior zones. Note a survivor may survivor stand in the sentry zone may control it. That's crazy. So he shoots through interior walls and automatically makes 1 target in each zone in a straight line. So he has 1 to 3 range. So basically, you fire this, you pick 1 to 3 spots away, and it will shoot. It will destroy 1 thing in each zone. Basically, it's essentially saying it's firing a high-powered, 1 powerful bullet that can shoot directly through stuff. Which is also crazy that then it says it does not make noise. I would have made this make noise. You're shooting through walls, eliminating multiple targets. And since it doesn't have any damage, that means you can eliminate abominations or anything like that. It's just straight up defeating them. But it's only 1 per each thing. So if you shoot it through, so if you shoot 3 zones and there's like down a hallway and there's a group of 4 Xenos in each one, you're only going to eliminate 1 in each, as opposed to like the bot. If you're firing and you did 2 damage, you could eliminate 2 in 1 zone. So it could definitely be helpful if you can shoot to 3 zones. You could potentially eliminate 3 things, but if you can only shoot to 1 zone, you'll never eliminate more than 1 thing. And since it can't move around, that does limit what it is able to do. Alright, we'll leave him up there for a moment, and we'll look at the brand new equipment we got. We have Downtown Bros. A ranged weapon does 1/1, does 4 dice for 5 accuracy per 1. So not super extra powerful, but a little bit better than the SMG. The grenade launcher, who has full auto. So it has 1-3, does 2 dice for 5, and does 2 damage. Full auto ability says, when resolving a ranged action, the survivor may substitute the dice number of the ranged weapon with the number of Xenos standing in the targeted zone. So what that means is normally you roll 2 dice, but you have the option, if there are 5 Xenos in there, you could roll 5 dice instead. Definitely a crazy way to do a lot of extra damage. Then we have some Nova Cutters. So melee for 0 range, 4 dice, 3 accuracy, so high dice, low accuracy does 2 damage, so pretty powerful. We got the Roaster MG. So this is neat. So it also has to attach with the canister from the base game. So if you're using this with Dark Side, you wouldn't be able to use this as well. But what's neat though is it's kind of like a gun / flamethrower. So you can either do 1-3 range, 5 dice for 5 accuracy for 1 damage each, or discard an attack canister to create a Hellfire zone in the targeted zone. Just kind of neat. Creates an extra flamethrower. Then we have 2 copies of the Pyre minigun. So also uses a canister, so you can create a flamethrower. Discard attached canister to create a Hellfire in targeted zone. Also has escalation ranged. So 1-3, 4 dice, 4 accuracy, and 1 damage. And escalation says survivor gains 1 extra die for subsequent actions of the specified type. Combat, melee, range. This bonus is cumulative and applies until the end of the survivor's turn. Bonus is lost, however, when it performs another kind of action. So what this means is, if you perform a ranged attack with this gun, you roll 4 dice. Then if your next action is another ranged attack, now you can roll 5 dice. And then if you go a third time, you roll 6 dice. So every time you keep firing it more and more, you get more and more dice. And the idea of this is because it's a minigun. The way miniguns typically work is this little barrel starts spinning around when it's shooting. So as long as you keep shooting, it's going to keep pumping out more and more bullets. So keep going. But it's kind of like saying if you stop, then it has to cool down for a second. So then you lose all that extra shot. But it's also cool that it has a flamethrower attached. And our final new equipment is Solomon's Chainsword. So this is actually the chainsword that Solomon here is holding. Kind of interesting that he would have neat if he would have started with that. That would have been a cool feature. 6 dice, 4 accuracy, 2 damage. So definitely super powerful. Alright, so that was all of our new equipment. So not a ton of new equipment, but extra equipment is always fun. Again, I always wish they would put more of the prototype. They're like the fun, really difficult weapons, but if they add more of them, it would make them more reason to try and hunt them down. But when you only have a couple of them, overall, throughout all these sets, it's kind of like, meh, if I get it, I get it, type of thing. Alright, so then the last thing we're going to look at is our brand new Abomination. So we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards for him. And that's the Juggernaut. Yeah, so this guy is gross and beefy. He's all hairy. I don't know why he's hairy. He's the first. And look at them butt cheeks. That is, yeah, it's the first one that's has hair. All the rest, I mean, the regular ones are kind of tentacly. The drillers are all kind of like armor plated. Then even in the Kickstarter stuff, the all the other miniatures in there are sort of still like bug-like or armor plated, but this guy's like meaty and hairy. But he's interesting. So when you draw this card, all abominations on the board have 1 extra activation. If you have the Juggernaut, spawn it. If you don't, nothing happens. So the same as all the rest of the abomination cards. But he does have some special abilities. So he does 3 damage, like any other abomination. And he gets his 1 activation like normal. Let's see if we can zoom up on him a little bit more there. But his special rule is the Juggernaut Abomination shares the same target and priority as other abominations. Can only be killed by game effects that automatically eliminate, so like the Hellfire, from either the Flamethrower or on one of the 2 weapons we just saw, or a Pod Explosion from the tiles, so those can eliminate him. The Seismic Blast from the Seismic Grenade from the Darksiders game, or the Meteor Sentry Gun. So that's actually crazy. This guy's just going to keep rampaging. You can't use concentrated attacks to kill him. You have to use one of the special effects. So hunting down them canisters could be very important, or putting him in range of that Meteor Gun. Or using the Seismic Grenades. So yeah, combining this with Darksiders could make this guy a little bit easier to fight. But yeah, definitely a fun new thing. Alright, so that's all we have for that. That was Zombicide Black Ops expansion. So if you're looking for a new team, some new weapons, new mission, new tiles, all the extra just bonus stuff, definitely pick this up. Gonna be more gameplay, a little bit more effective if you have the Invaders versus just Darkside. But if you don't have the base Invaders yet, pick this up anyhow with Darkside to get you some extra bonus content, extra characters. Plus, if you have double teams, you can have, 1 player control one team, 1 player control the other team if you're just playing a 2-player game. It could definitely be fun as well. Alright, see you guys in the next video. Bye!